One of Canada's most notorious serial killers will stay behind bars. Paul Bernardo was denied an early release from prison Wednesday by the National Parole Board. Bernardo has spent the last 25 years behind bars. He was convicted in 1995 of the brutal torture, sexual assault, and murders of teenagers Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey. The 54-year-old admitted to the board that he did horrible things in the past, but said he's improved during his time in jail. The panel disagreed, denying the dangerous offender any type of parole. And that is one topic that Danielle Smith will be tackling this morning. Good morning, Danielle. I understand you're going to be speaking with a criminal lawyer about this.
Isn't it awful that we have to even be talking about Paul Bernardo at all? Like, I don't know how old you were when these murders happened, but I just remember the faces of Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey clear as day. And I think it really was very impactful for the entire country. It's almost shocking how lax our criminal justice system was up to that point. It was almost like we thought we would never have somebody who was such a heinous psychopath. And so our system was set up to not deal with the consequences of finding him guilty. So he's been declared a dangerous offender by his own request, and yet he's going through the process as if he's just some regular, ordinary guy who cries himself to sleep at night full of remorse. I mean, to the parole board's credit, they did reject his claim within 30 minutes. But why should we be forced to go through this every 2 years? It could be as frequently as that. Why is the family support forced to go through this every couple of years? So I want to talk with Ari Goldkind to just understand a bit more about whether or not there's anything that can be done in his situation. Because I think what everybody is fearful of is that with the passage of time, every 2 years he makes his case, you're going to end up with somebody on the parole board who decides on that balance of weighing risk versus remorse and rehabilitation. Why not give him a chance? Why not give him day parole? I think that's the last thing any of us want to see. If there is one person who should be rotting in his cell for the rest of his days, never to be heard from again, it is Paul Bernardo. And I think it's a tragedy that our system doesn't allow for that.
Do you feel that in so many other cases where we see things treated differently, that this is being held at least to a situation of its own, that it was a very unique case out of the mid-90s and still being respected as that, is that the parole board has continued to make this decision?
You know, I think that people would probably, I mean, you can make an academic argument that this is the way the system ought to work and that politicians shouldn't interfere and the feelings of the family shouldn't impact it. But just look at the result that just recently happened in the Calgary area with the Lickness and Nathan O'Brien murders. Everybody was celebrating the fact that Douglas Garland got concurrent sentences for 75 years. And there was all sorts of hand-wringing at the time saying, oh my goodness, well, you need to give somebody at least the hope of ever being released. And I think we've decided the answer is no. Some people don't deserve to have a hope of ever being released because they are that awful. They should be thankful we don't have the death penalty in this country. The alternative for us is you keep them incarcerated for life. And I hope that, and I think people are looking to see whether or not Paul Bernardo will be that test case that might just end up tipping that balance. I'm going to talk with Ari Goldkind about that today to see what he says.
Well, and obviously there are many directions that conversation can go. Thank you, Danielle.
My pleasure.
You can listen to Danielle starting at 9:30 on 770.